How long does it take for a people that have been lied to about everything to catch up with reality? And how do we free their minds from those indoctrinated lies when they've been brainwashed to fight against those of us that attempts to do so? Virtually all information that Black people receives and believes comes exclusively from the white society. And the white society has always fed us mental enslaving lies. It's the narcissistic people they are. It's the way they've always been. And it's the only way they know how to be. Therefore, the African slaves of the 21st century are those who cannot unlearn all of those mental enslaving lies that the white society has indoctrinated into our collective minds. In the U.S., they've negatively socially engineered us to call ourselves by the N-word, to call our women by the B and H words, to sag our pants, to glorify pimps, and to worship their false god. They also manipulated many of us to perceive ourselves as being our own worst enemies instead of themselves. It's how they profoundly divided us and shifted our collective progressions away from them and redirected against and towards ourselves. They also constantly inundates us with fraudulent negative propaganda about ourselves. Therefore, rather than resenting them for brutally mistreating us for centuries, many of us instead feels ashamed of ourselves, and we therefore try to win their approval in an attempt to show them that we're not all bad. Then we pass this same socially engineered mindset down to our children, thus creating future generations of mentally enslaved Black people that thinks in ways benefiting the white society. And they keep us from knowing these truths and realizing what they've done to us by misleading us to ignorantly believe that our mindset was created by the silly Willie Lynch myth. When the majority of Black people believes that our plight and condition is caused by the silly Willie Lynch myth, this greatly benefits the system of white supremacy, because it keeps our understanding of our plight and conditions flawed. When our understandings of our plight and conditions are flawed, this keeps all of our liberating strategies and remedies flawed. Therefore, believing in the falsehood of Willie Lynch prevents us from learning the truth that's required in order for developing the proper counter strategies necessary to liberate ourselves. When people are born being taught lies and are raised by parents that were also taught those same lies, those lies will become their norms. And once those lies have been successfully indoctrinated into their collective minds, they will perceive anyone who attempts to teach them the truth as being a raving lunatic. Nonetheless, lies don't become true because they're now believed by the majority, and truth does not become untrue because they've been concealed from the majority. Therefore, those who know the truth must teach, regardless of the angered response of the mentally enslaved masses. The following are all true facts. All you have to do is conduct your own research. In the age of information, ignorance is now a choice. And don't attempt to dispute these facts based upon your feelings formulated by lies. Doing so will keep you mentally enslaved by your white oppressors. The absolute facts are that Jesus is a myth created by ungodly Romans in the year 325 AD. Willie Lynch is also a myth created by Dr. Kina Ashanti in 1970. And we never made the N-word ours, and using it does not empower us. We were in fact socially engineered to call ourselves the N-word by white social engineering scientists. And doing so psychologically assigns us to a false inherent subordinate identity within the white dominant society. And we, African Americans, are not indigenous Americans. Millions of DNA analysis have scientifically confirmed our African identity. The narrative that we African Americans are not from Africa is actually fraudulent propaganda. It was spread into our communities by white propagandists to divide us from Native Africans. This is because they divide us because when we Africans are divided globally, we lose our global numerical advantage and we're stripped of all hopes of ever defeating global white supremacy. The narrative that we're not from Africa is also designed to separate us from our unifying African heritage. Without having a base identity to connect to our vast cultural wealth, over time we become further fragmented and we become weaker as a people. We can then be made into anything the white oppressors wants us to be. Those of us that are naive, ignorant, and gullible are always the easiest victims of the white oppressor's fraudulent propaganda campaign. A speaker of truth has no friends. And the so-called that we're all humans that originate from Africa, that's totally untrue. Only we Africans are the true Homo sapiens that came out of Africa. Africans are the only true homogeneous species. All other racial groups are scientifically classified as Homo sapiens sapiens. The additional sapiens actually means modern humans that evolved from subspecies primates. Unlike other racial groups, Africans are not included on the Darwin evolutionary chart. Africans have instead always been Homo sapiens. All other groups falsely attach themselves onto we Africans to falsely give themselves a Homo sapien identity. The Caucasians falsely separate themselves from their white-skinned Neanderthal ancestors of Europe and falsely attach themselves onto we melanated African Homo sapiens. They falsely claim themselves as being mutated Africans that became white as a result of migrating to the colder climates of Europe, an alleged form of cold weather albinism. But it has now been scientifically proven that Caucasians are not African albinos, but instead retains their skin color and their animalistic hair type and traits from the Neanderthal DNA. It's also been scientifically proven that Africans are the only true Homo sapiens and that our skin color and our hair type are the direct result of our Homo sapien DNA. The ancient human history we've been taught has been whitewashed, like everything else that we've been taught by the white society. We Africans are the true Homo sapiens. The name Homo sapiens means wise humans. Homo is the Latin word for human or man, and sapien derives from the Latin word that means wise or astute. Now, because the white society now writes all of our narratives as Black people, and they perpetually marginalize and negatively distorts our narrative, therefore many people will find it laughable to say that Black people are the wise humans. But a true fact that is concealed from the public through the white society's monopoly over information is that in spite of cultural traumas that we've endured, wrought by the injustices of slavery, white racism, and continued white oppression, most inventions that have revolutionized the world were either in fact invented by Black people or were directly inspired by earlier inventions made by Black people. The name the wise humans is also appropriate for we Africans because long before the Europeans invaded Africa, it was we Africans that civilized Europe. All of Greece's first scholars were educated by Africans. The world's oldest university, library, manuscript, encyclopedia, human prosthetic, mathematical tools, medical journals, and the world's oldest standing kingdom are all located in Africa. The world's largest wall ever built is not the Great Wall of China. It's actually the Great Wall of Benin in ancient Nigeria. It was 4 times larger than the Great Wall of China, and it is also recognized by the Guinness World Records as the largest wall ever built. Africans are the first to build in stone and the first to smelt metal. Africans introduced science, writing, mathematics, philosophy to the world. Africans invented the wheel, paper, the calendar, the concept of 24 hours in a day, the 365-day calendar, the clock, leap year, organized labor, surgical instruments, cosmetics, the plow, black ink, ink pen, shoes, high heel shoes, condoms, hair wigs, hair dyes, hair extensions, comb, makeup, hairbrush, keys, hair comb, vase, chisels, toothpaste, door locks. And the oldest human prosthetic was found in Africa. Africa's invented medicine, the solar calendar, paved roads, governments. Africans introduced the hygiene to the Europeans, such as shaving, toothpaste, perfume, fragrance oil, deodorant. And Africans even introduced the daily bath to Europeans. The white society sits upon a throne of white exalting and black marginalizing lies. The white society controls all the information that we receive, and they feed us lies that are designed to shape our minds in ways that makes us feel subordinate to them, because it makes us more compliant with their white dominance over our lives. Also, by perpetually feeding white exalting narratives, all societies function based upon the narratives that are fed into our society. By perpetually feeding false narratives into a society that exalts whites and marginalizes blacks falsely, it creates false assumptions within the society that greatly aids in maintaining white social dominance and white social capital over the black population. Your entire perception of reality is an elaborate white deception created by lies that have been fed into your mind by the white society. It's time to wake up to our truth. One love and peace.